Welcome to USS Pentagonal. Over the past 48 hours, tensions in the Middle East have reached their highest levels with simultaneous Israeli attacks on Iranian installations inside Iran and Iranian bases in Syria and Iraq. While Iran downplayed the Israeli attacks, Israeli fighter jets and drones easily penetrated Iranian defenses. The events in the region in the last 48 hours have mobilized powerful regional actors, such as the United States, Turkey, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Russia. Russia, Iran's strategic ally, has made striking statements about the events. While Israel's multifaceted attacks continued, Iran's backing down and not taking any counteraction after Russia's warnings drew particular attention. Let's take a look at the hottest developments in the region and the actions of Russia and Iran in the region against the Israeli attacks. A striking warning came from Russia, an ally of both Israel and Iran. Making statements on the Israeli-Iranian tension, Russia almost put pressure on Iran by saying that the tension should not escalate after Israel's retaliation. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov made statements regarding the Israeli-Iranian tension. Lavrov said, "There were telephone contacts between the leaders of Russia and Iran, our representatives, and the Israelis. In these meetings, we very clearly noted and conveyed to the Israelis that Iran does not want to escalate tensions." The Russian foreign minister said that Iran cannot do anything but respond to gross violations of international law and the status of diplomatic missions, but it does not want to escalate tensions. Lavrov emphasized that the retaliatory strikes began with the Israeli attack on Damascus. They want to attribute an attack to Iran using, among other things, nuclear weapons, which it does not have, Lavrov said, adding that the International Atomic Energy Agency has confirmed that Iran does not have nuclear weapons. However, given the scale of the attack, the message to Iran was not to react. Accordingly, Tehran said it had no plans to retaliate. Iran responded to Israel's small-scale attack on a sensitive airbase guarding nuclear facilities in the center of the country without escalating tensions. Tehran downplayed the Israeli strikes and signaled no further retaliation. An Iranian official said that there were no plans to respond to the incident against Israel. The attack came in response to a drone and missile offensive launched by Iran a week ago in retaliation for the bombing of its consulate in Damascus and the killing of senior Revolutionary Guard Corps officers. Iranian media and officials reported a small number of explosions, saying they were caused by Iranian air defense systems shooting down 3 drones over the city of Isfahan. Officials said that there was no need for retaliation. The downed small drones did not cause any damage or injuries, Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian said in New York. Israel has remained silent on the operation, while the United States has denied any role in it. The explosions, which sources described as an Israeli attack, echoed in an Iranian city on Friday, but Tehran downplayed the incident and said it had no plans to retaliate. It was a seemingly measured response aimed at preventing a region-wide war. Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian told envoys of Muslim countries in New York, quoted by Iranian media, that sources said the Israeli drones fired at the city of Isfahan on Friday did not cause any damage or casualties. The Israelis targeted an air defense radar site near Isfahan, which is part of the protection of the Natanz nuclear facility. Senior U.S. military sources reported that the target of the alleged Israeli attack on Iran was a military base in Isfahan near Natanz, not nuclear facilities themselves. The Israelis hit what they wanted to hit, one source said, adding that one main target was hit multiple times and that Iran's Russian-made air defense system proved ineffective. The source said the Israeli message about the strike was to sell the Iranians the idea that we can reach out and touch you. Israeli officials said the attack was intended to send a signal to Iran about Israel's capabilities, but not to escalate the situation. Amir Abdollahian was quoted as saying that the downed mini-drones did not cause any damage or casualties, while the Zionist regime's media supporters are desperately trying to claim victory from their defeat. In the hours since the strikes on Iran has downplayed their impact and significance, denying that they were aimed directly at Israel and saying that no nuclear facilities were damaged. Blinken, on the other hand, said the United States was committed to Israel's security and was not involved in any attack. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that the U.S. was not involved in any offensive operation, while the White House declined to comment. As is well known, Israel managed to convince members of its security cabinet to attack Iranian territory on Monday night. According to reports, Ministers Benny Gantz and Gadi Eisenkot, both former armed forces commanders, reportedly pushed for a strong and swift response. But after a meeting with Biden, they agreed to postpone it in the face of the different views of other ministers. By this reckoning, the planned strikes against Iran have been postponed twice. U.S. officials said that they were informed by their Israeli counterparts immediately after Iran's missile and drone attack on Sunday that some form of Israeli counterstrike was inevitable, but the Israelis assured Washington that their response would be smart and not targeted. U.S. officials confirmed that Israel had carried out military operations against Iran and had given Washington several hours' notice, but did not provide any details of those operations. It remained unclear whether only drones were involved in Friday night's incident, whether any munitions actually hit targets or were intercepted, and where the attack was launched from. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Washington was committed to Israel's security, adding that the U.S. was not involved in any offensive operations when asked about reports that Israel had organized an attack on Iran. Friday morning's strike, whatever its scale, was an act of defiance against U.S. influence. Netanyahu, in particular, has long been hawkish on Iran, having threatened Israeli strikes against the country in the past, and has been under pressure from his far-right coalition partners for a robust response. Since the scale of the retaliation has so far been extremely limited, the far-right Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir has condemned the response as weak. Speaking to reporters after the G7 meeting in Italy, Blinken said, "I'm not going to talk about these reported incidents. The only thing I can say is that from our point of view and from the point of view of all members of the G7, our focus is on de-escalation." Blinken also called for swift implementation of Israel's humanitarian commitments, saying that while some important steps have been taken, more lasting results are needed. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken told the G7 meeting that we are committed to Israel's security, but we're also committed to de-escalation. The limited scale of the attack and Iran's muted response appear to signal the successful efforts of diplomats who have been working around the clock to avert all-out war since Iran's drone and missile attack on Israel last Saturday. World leaders have called for calm after Israel's drone strike on Iran escalated tensions. "We call on all sides to work to prevent further escalation of tensions," the G7 foreign ministers said in a joint statement issued at the end of their meeting on the Italian island of Capri, while China, Russia, and Arab countries called for restraint. World leaders called for calm after Israel on Friday launched a pre-dawn drone strike on Iran following a series of tit-for-tat attacks that crossed a key red line that has kept the Middle East out of a major regional conflict for decades. Both the G7 and the European Commission called for a de-escalation of the simmering conflict. In his own intervention, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said it was high time to stop the dangerous cycle of retaliation in the Middle East. The tit-for-tat attacks violated the taboo on direct attacks on each other's territory, but Tehran has no immediate plans to retaliate. Thank you for following us.